I've ever seen.
What?
But we're live.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top. Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man.
Hey, welcome everyone. And that's a great way to start. Welcome everybody to this Connected Live. Today we have Danny Bates, and he is changing the trajectory of building an online empire. Danny Bates is the creative director / graphic designer for Connected. Danny, welcome today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Julie. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited for this conversation because I'm a little bit of a geek when it comes to graphic design. I got to be honest. I was all about Photoshop. I have my Canva. I am ready to go, locked and loaded. And so tell me, how did you get to this point? How did you start this journey of being a graphic designer?
Yeah, it's been a long road becoming a graphic designer. Before we hopped on, I was talking a little bit about when I was younger, I was really into drawing. It was a lot of pencil drawing and stuff like that. And as I progressed through high school and getting ready to go into college, I wanted to find a skill that I thought was a little bit more practical and that businesses would need help with. So one of my teachers in high school, she was like, I think you should really look into graphic design. And that's kind of what sparked it. And then when I got into college, I studied, fine arts and graphic design and got a little bit more into that. And I've been loving it ever since. So.
Wow, you're actually living the dream, Danny.
I'm living the dream right now. It's honestly, it's incredible. So I'm blessed to be where I'm at. And like looking back to when I first started doing graphic design, it was tough. It wasn't always like easy. And the biggest hurdles that I had to jump over personally were learning the softwares, like you said, Photoshop, Canva, that stuff, but then also just getting familiar with design. So
Yeah.
I remember some of my first designs. If I look back on them, they're brutal, but I stuck with it and I did a lot of designs, and I'm lucky to be where I'm at right now. So.
Amazing. And why I said living the dream is because anytime that you get to do what you love and you get paid for it, to me, that's living the dream. That is what it's
100%.
about, right?
100%.
Yeah. And it's this idea that you wake up in the morning and you say, I get to do this and not I have to do this.
Yeah,
So
100%.
you're doing it already. Okay. So let's get into this concept of creating an online empire and utilizing these graphic components to help build your brand. I know we were talking about web merchandise, like as an entrepreneur, because that's the real focus we're looking at now. What do you want to tell new business owners on how to create that visual identity for their brand?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like there's like two parts to that question. And the first thing is figuring out like what your mission is as a company. And then once you have that mission and that vision for where you want to go and what you want to do, then you can kind of start developing your visual brand identity with that. And then, so once you have that visual brand identity, then you can apply it to all the different places on your website, on social, on your advertising, on your merchandise, internally. And then I feel like that kind of translates across the board. So.
Is there some sort of like look and feel that's trending right now?
It depends. I feel like it depends on what space you're in, and for Connected with the space that we're in, I feel like there's definitely a look and feel for what is popular these days. And kind of like when I was working or when I was talking with Devin about transitioning from our old tool. Connected, when it started, it was just a tool, but then now we've become an all-inclusive sales enablement platform. And the visuals, like visually, a tool is kind of a little bit more simple. And I feel like that visual feel is different than something that's, an all-in-one sales enablement platform. So, but specifically for like the visuals for the all-inclusive kind of platform, I feel like the stuff that's popular nowadays is a lot of like gradients, color pop, stuff like that. So when we were developing the website, that was something that I really wanted to focus on, was applying like gradients, a bright color scheme. And that was something that I felt like we did effectively, and it came out looking great, in my opinion. So,
So as a new business owner, somebody maybe that doesn't have a lot of money to invest in doing some of this artwork, what is it that you think they can invest into that would be the biggest bang for their buck as they're building their business as far as graphics?
I feel like you can do a couple different things. I feel like there's great websites out there like Fiverr where you can, find some great work through those websites. But then also I would feel like, maybe invest in finding a hungry kid, guy or girl coming out of college that, loves design, loves graphics, loves doing those kind of things, and then just build with them. And I feel like, if you're working with someone that, is coming straight out of college, you're not paying that top dollar that you would for a creative agency. But if it's someone that's truly passionate about design and what they do, you guys could grow together and get a good bang for your buck there. So
very cool. Very cool. And then as far as, we do a lot of talking about social media and getting your message out there.
Yep.
What do you think right now is like the hottest thing? What's trending as far as look and feel for your graphics on social, and what platforms should people be concentrated on?
That's a phenomenal question. I think you should try to hit as many platforms as possible. I feel like in today's day and age, like there's just so much creative content out there. So the more you can get your brand in front of customers, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, the more platforms you can find to do that in, the better. And then what was the first part of the question again? What look and feel?
What is the look and feel like? I'm just curious, like what's gonna really grab people is what
I feel like that's tough, because I mean, like for me as a guy, I feel like I like things that look a certain way, but then also, women like things that look a certain way. And, so I feel like it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
But for me and with our team, I know that we try to keep a good mix of, still graphics and video and motion graphics and stuff that's, photography based and stuff that's based in color. And, so I feel like we try to keep a good variety. That way, when you come to our social media channels, you're not seeing the same thing over and over and over again, and you get bored. So we're trying to keep it fresh, mix things up a little bit. So that's what we're getting into.
All right. We have a question from the very famous Julie Loken, and she wants to know, what do you think about minimalism in branding? Is that a trend you're seeing?
Minimalism in branding. I think that it's funny, Julie, that you asked that, or that Julie asked that, because when I was in school for graphic design, one of the things that our professors just tried to jam into our heads was like, keep it as simple as possible. You want to find something that's unique. You want to find something that's memorable, but you also want to find something that can work well at a large scale, whether it's on like billboards or, large screens somewhere. But you also want to find something that when you downsize it, that it works well, like as an emoticon, like up here, in your browser for StreamYard, like you can see that duck. It's really small. So you want to find. I feel like minimalism is just being as simple as possible and as memorable as possible with your logo. I don't think that's ever going to go away. And then also just look at brands like Nike, like the Nike swoosh. That's one of the simplest logos, most minimal logos of all time, and it's iconic.
Yeah. Yeah. So here we have Jack Hibbler, the infamous Jack Hibbler. And what he's asking is, what is the one tool we cannot live without? And he's saying he loves Canva.
Yeah. I mean, I think whatever software you're most comfortable in as a designer, I feel like, use whatever works best for you. For me personally, I love Photoshop. And I also love Illustrator. I love the whole Adobe Creative Suite.
Yeah.
But it just depends on what I'm working on. So if I'm working on ad videos, I'll create graphics in Photoshop, save them, and then put them into Adobe Premiere, and then edit videos in Adobe Premiere. And then if I'm working on logos, I'm usually working in Adobe Illustrator. So I think it all just depends on what your project is. And then depending on what your project is, you'll find, the correct software that works best for what you want your end result to be.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you have a specialized skill set that is graphic design, right? So
yep.
for the beginner, for the novice, the best tool, in my opinion, is Canva because it does so many different things.
For sure.
It obviously has its limitations, right? It's not the host of Adobe, and Adobe it far surpasses Canva
Yep.
at a professional level. Like, so as a professional, you need to be using those tools. Like, I know Photoshop, but I don't know how to use Illustrator with Photoshop, and I've used InDesign and Premiere. I tried to use and I scrapped it because it was too hard. So I decided I use Camtasia.
Yep.
Camtasia is for my video editing, and
Okay.
now I moved to Canva because Canva for me does what I need it to do. And the point is that it depends on your skill set and what you're kind of doing. So
For sure.
it's
Sure.
definitely a thing. So we have Teresa Augustinelli on, and she's asking, how can I optimize my website for SEOs?
That's a great question. I'm actually not the best person to answer that question to the fullest. I kind of stick more to like in terms of like building the website. My focus and my job was more so on helping the aesthetics of the website. But when you get down into the SEO type stuff and the domains and the more technical side of the websites, that's not necessarily my forte. We have people on our team that are way better versed than I am in answering that question. But I know just like some basic knowledge about like SEO, just, try to use as many keywords as possible that relate to whatever your business is. So for us, like, we use our blog, and I'm still learning as I go daily on this kind of stuff. But I know that, the more keywords that you can pack into your website, the better you're going to rank on Google. And that's a super, that's the best answer I can give you for right now. But SEO is that's not my forte, but, just trying to use as many keywords as possible on your website. I think that would be my advice for SEO.
All right, let's stay on that topic for a second because I have a question now. If you are a person that's doing their own web design, let's say,
Yep.
and you want to really use a couple graphics here and there, maybe not hire a graphic designer, but
Mhm.
like splash it up with some graphics to make it really like next level.
For
What
sure.
is it that you recommend? What do you recommend?
I think I feel like with the trends that I'm seeing on just like the websites that we looked at for inspiration for our own website, I feel like I would definitely reach out to someone on Fiverr and just try to get. There was kind of like a cartoony feel that was going around. Now there's more of like, along with like the gradients that people are using, I feel like there's more of like a 3-dimensional kind of like character that a lot of people use on their websites. I feel like that's the trend that I'm recognizing. But anything that's eye catching, whether that's a nice photograph that has to do with your business or a nice design, I feel like you could, anything from Fiverr, anybody that does great like character building in Fiverr, you could find something good there. And just any kind of color pop, I feel like that would help.
Color pop.
Good color pop, good color combinations too. I feel like that all helps.
And this is your logo, right? The connected logo here. Did you design that?
So I didn't make the original connected logo, but
Okay.
I was lucky enough that Devin and the guys came to me and they said, "Hey, can you make us a couple options for the new Connected Reach logo?" So I came up with a couple of options, and it was funny enough that was the first one I came up with. And so yeah, the Connected Reach logo, I made that, and I wanted to, when I was making that, I wanted to kind of create something that I thought spoke to what it is that Connected Reach does.
Yeah.
And I feel like it connects people. And, so each one of those like hexagonal structures around connected, connected is the thing that's bringing them all together. So that was kind of the thought process behind it. And, but I wanted to use the original Connected like hexagon logo in the design just to reinforce our own branding. I didn't want to do anything that was too different from that. So that was what I came up with, and they went with it. And, I was lucky to have the opportunity to make that. So that was cool for me.
All right. So we had a question. What was that question? Merch. Yes, merch. So is merch important for a brand?
I think it depends on what you do as a business. For us, our merch store for right now is more so just kind of for the culture at Connected. We're trying to make, stuff like with our logo, our brand on it, so that, our employees, the people we work with can wear that stuff around the office, can wear it, at home or wherever they go. and it just makes you feel like you're a part of something when you can actually put on a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or a hat and it's got the Connected logo on it. And all my Connected stuff is in the wash currently. That's why I'm not wearing a Connected branded shirt right now as we're talking about it. But it just depends on what your business is. If you're, if you're into landscaping or, something along those lines, you want to have your logo, your brand, your phone number, and you want to look unified as a team. And, having branded merchandise that you can put your entire team in helps you look unified. And it just makes you look that much more professional, I feel like, when you're out on the job or whatever it is you're doing. But I think personally, it just depends on what business you're in.
Great. So what else do you want our audience to know about graphic design and running a business?
Man, that's a great question. I feel like that if there's any other like graphic designers or anybody looking to get into graphic design out there that's watching, I would highly recommend it. It's, for me personally, it's really cool starting with a blank canvas and then, bringing something to life that could be a logo that works for a product, or, whether it's an advertisement that you can see on the side of a building or on a billboard or on a postcard that comes in the mail. For me, just taking nothing and turning it into something has always been really rewarding. So if there's anybody watching that wants to get into graphic design, I highly recommend it. For me, at first, it was super tough. So, if you start trying it out and it's difficult to learn the software or make good designs, I would just say stick with it as much as possible, because once you learn it and once you get the hang of it, it's super rewarding and it's a lot of fun. But
great. Well, Danny, I can't wait to see what's next from you. I'd love to see some of the work that you've done. And we're at time right now. So thank you so much for being on Connected Live today.
Thanks for having me, Julie. I appreciate you.